One of the more bizarre arguments that I hear leveled by certain atheists against religion is essentially a gigantic appeal to fairness. Religion is bad because it subjugates certain members of society, and in this particular case I'm referring to women. In just about any religion that you come across, at least in terms of its social policy, shall we say, women are relegated to a position of less overt power, even over themselves, than men are. There's no denying that, and I have no intention of doing that. But again, quite apart from the fact that it is an appeal to fairness, and thus carrying all that baggage, I would also sort of point out that not only is the counter model, the Darwinian scale of things, built upon unfairness, in fact fairness doesn't even come into it, I would like to ask anyone to point out the human condition at any time in its history when things were fair, when the world was the way it should be. It's never been that way. So yes, women are oppressed almost always in religious societies by religion itself. I won't deny that. It doesn't mean that they're equal in non-religious societies either, but religion does give philosophical merit to a male-dominated social system. But again, how is that any different from the way things have been since the dawn of time? There's always something out there that throws human inequality in our face. We make equality between black people and white people our goal. We work hard towards that. Then a disabled person comes into the mix. We have to now deal with that. It won't be long before we suddenly realize that there will always be reappearances of inequality in our society. Somebody will always have a reason to envy someone else. Or someone will always have a reason to consider themselves a victim of the system, or a victim of the universe. In the movie Enemy at the Gates, Commissar Danilov, who spent his entire adult life with a powerful belief in Soviet communism, is disillusioned by this, by the fact that envy seems to be just one of the normal pratfalls of the human condition, where he says, we tried to build a perfect society where there would be no more envy, that no one would have any reason to feel envious or jealous of anyone else. But I have learned through membership in a love triangle where I became the odd man out that that's not the case. There will always be inequality. What now? Well, the religions of the East, and in particular I'm referring to Hinduism, although many animistic faiths share this, almost put female spirituality above the male variant. You go to India and you see a country that's totally dominated by men. Women are basically enslaved by religion. But within that given, female spirituality is given full play. The gods are as often female as they are male. Sometimes they're a mixture of the two. The most terrifying goddesses, I suppose, are Kali and Durga. Shiva can be nasty, but he can also be a harmless ascetic sitting on top of Mount Kailash, meditating the universe. Whereas Kali is right out there in the universe in all her ferocity. And nothing can withstand her, not even Shiva himself. Again, many animistic faiths believe the same thing. And again, within the Indian view of things, things are never what they seem on the surface. You look at Indian society and women are subjugated. There's no denying that. But you look into the metaphysical universe, which in many ways has replaced what we would call the phenomenal universe in people's minds and in their way of thinking. And it's almost as though women actually are running the show. Shakti power is what keeps the universe in existence. Kali, the Great Mother, is what creates the universe or maintains the universe as we see it. She maintains ourselves. This is kind of a generalization of Kali's position in the Hindu pantheon, because, as I say, creator and maintainer are Brahma and Vishnu. But in certain ways, in the ways that she does interact with the world, she's far more involved in the world and in the universe than any of the other gods. She's a necessary part of the order. So it's an interesting paradox in that just as Hinduism subjugates women, it basically places them ahead of men on this plane of existence. In terms of absolute equality, women are totally the equal of males, because the law of karma and samsara says that everyone will eventually end up at a state of perfection. Doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how it is right now. Right now, there's loads of inequality, and the inequality of the sexes is just one of literally infinite numbers of inequalities. But in the grand scheme of things, being a woman is really no different whatsoever from being a man. It's interesting as well, in that the subjugation of women that you do see within Hinduism is what you often see in many other faiths. Women have to be subjugated in order to keep the social order from disintegrating. There's a powerful deity in the south of India called Balaji, who's worshipped in a number of temples, particularly in Tamil Nadu. And usually all that you can see is the lower part of his face and his feet. The rest he's covered in flowers, and he's got a shield over his eyes. The reason why that shield is there is if you took that off, his gaze would incinerate the universe. Female spirituality, female sexuality, female views of the universe are so totally and utterly different from those of men. How many of you actually understand, guys, how your girlfriend or wife's mind works? You don't. You don't. I don't believe you if you say that you do. It is so powerful, this feminine force, that it has to be somehow managed, even if harshly. There's an element of that in the burqa. What this woman exudes is so powerful that no man can resist it. Therefore, it has to be shielded, like Balaji's eyes have to be shielded. Women have such an enormous power, such an enormous nuclear reaction could their very existence within our society cause, that they must be controlled. The ancient Greeks were probably, if anything, more oppressive of women than modern Saudi Arabia is. And they were quite blatant about that. They said, we have to subjugate women, or else the entire world will fall apart. Because when it comes to, say, things like sex, the ancient Greeks believed that women enjoyed it 10 times as much as men did. They believed that women had an animalistic nature that, if left to run riot, could actually menace the balance of the entire cosmos. In a way, it's strange. That's actually an acknowledgement of the power that women really do have. There's more to power. There's more to your ability to influence things than the overt social things. Any guy that's ever been on the receiving end of female mind games, if intelligently and persistently played, knows all about that. Thank you.